So, Sunset Sons are back with their second full-length album, Blood Rush Déjà Vu. Now, this band has always been a personal favourite of mine, and in fact, they were one of the first live bands I ever saw, so let's get into this and see what this album's all about. First of all, I want to say, I know there haven't been very many videos on the channel recently. In fact, I think it's been about 2 weeks since we had our last video, and this video is not going to be very long either. And that's because I've just found out that since I'm at university, I actually have to do a bit of work. It's a bit of a bummer, really. So yeah, my attention's been on that a bit for the past couple of weeks, but I promise we'll be getting a bit more content up over the next few weeks and months, hopefully. So now that's all out the way, let's get into this actual album, Blood Rush Déjà Vu by Sunset Sons. So first of all, very quick overall review. It's decent, it's a decent album. Here again we see their intriguing surf rock approach to indie rock. And I think that's surf rock both metaphorically and literally, because if you know much about this band, you may know they started out as a group of guys who just needed a way to fund them living in South France going surfing. But I do think on this album, the surf rock element of their music's taken a bit of a backseat in favour of a bit more of an anthemic festival style rock approach on this album. In this album, we really see a bit more of an energetic vibrance from this band, which we've had a bit in the past, but I think we've got it a lot more and a lot stronger here. Like, this album is jam-packed with fun, upbeat indie rock music, and when I say jam-packed, I mean really jam-packed. This album is only 35 minutes long, and this is a bit of a problem I have with this album and a bit of the music scene in general recently. There's become a bit of a trend for albums to be shorter and shorter and shorter, and 30 minutes or so, that's like an EP, I think. Well, might be a bit long for an EP, but it's not very long for an album. It really leaves you wanting more by the end. I just want a couple more songs to finish out the album, and you could definitely argue that is the point of the album, is to make you want to listen to them more after you've heard it. But personally I feel I do want more, and I think I'd like to have a couple of songs, and I feel I still want more after those couple more songs that would really round out the album. I think in this album we see Sunset Sons carefully tread the line between sort of the young person style energetic indie rock and the more pop style mum indie rock is what I'm going to call it. I don't know if this is true for mums in general, but a sort of scouting for girls, very poppy indie rock, that's what they sort of seem to like from my experience. And I think Sunset Sons are very carefully in between the lines with those two approaches, and I think it's working quite well. Now, this band has always been good, and they're good here again, and they've always flown under the radar in the past, despite putting out some quality songs. And really, I don't think they're going to achieve that with this album again, given the quality songs they had in the past, which never really got much mainstream traction. And plus they got support from bands like Imagine Dragons and Nothing But Thieves, which are a big deal for a band that were this small at that time. Like, again, I feel on this album, Sunset Sons have always been good, but they've never been in-your-face good. I feel that might be partly because of their approach. Their sort of surf rock approach is very laid back in their music, and their music is, in general, a bit laid back, so it's not very energetic, it's not very vibrant. I mean, this approach does give the songs a bit of a relaxing yet fun nature to them, but I think it does draw away from their attention-grabbing ability. And I mean, it is all up to personal taste. Some people prefer this bit more relaxed style indie rock compared to the very energetic in-your-face indie rock of like Arctic Monkeys and Cortinas. Now, I do think we've seen a bit of a shift away from this approach to their music, but I think the calmer approach to indie rock is still a bit present in their album with songs like Superman and Take Control. But in general, this lo-fi sound is generally a bit toned down in favour of a bit more of a classic festival rock approach to their songs. A lot of the songs are really carried forward by an energetic bass and energetic guitar riff that really give the song a bit of a bouncy energy to them. So as always, let's talk about some of my favourite songs from the album, and first of all is Heroes. This really is a standout catchy song. It's groovy and uplifting and is very almost a pop song, I would say. And it feels like the perfect kind of tune you want to listen to when you're relaxing on a summer day with your mates. Superman's another one I quite like, and it seems quite a few other people do like it. It's a bit of a break from the norm for the band. It's got a sort of magical feeling about the song and a slightly electronic sound. I think it's got a bit of a post-Britpop edge to it. It's sort of almost reminiscent of Coldplay in that way. I mean, it does easily sound like a song that Coldplay could have put out themselves really, just if you replaced the singers around. Another one I really like is Say Hi. That really prominent use of an acoustic guitar gives it a bit of a country rock feeling to it, but it still retains a bit more of a classic rock beat in the song. Overall, I think this is the second album for the band done really well. I think it's the perfect level of changing and evolving your music to make it fresh and interesting, but they haven't done it to such an extreme that it has the potential of alienating older fans who may not like such a drastic change. It's new, it's fresh and interesting, but it isn't 100% revolutionary music. So overall, I feel this album's full of good fun songs. They're easy to listen to, they're easily enjoyable from the first listen, but very little of it is blow your socks off amazing. So overall, I'm going to give this album a 3.5 stars out of 5. I do quite like it, I think it's good, it's just not a world-class masterpiece. And I think we've got a bit of a trend here again that we got off the band in the past. They are very consistent at putting out good songs, like there's not one bad song on this record, I do like them all. So the average song is very good, they just need some of those songs that are a bit more than average to really make them stand out. Like every indie band, when you say their name, they've got one or two big tunes that loads of people know that instantly comes to mind. Like Cortinas have Not 19 Forever, Two Door Cinema Club have Undercover Martyr, The Hunter have Bonfire. And Sunset Sons don't really have that, they need that one big song that gives them a bit of an edge that like everybody knows. I think Heroes comes close, but it's not quite there. I think it's good, but we've had other quite good songs from them in the past that haven't quite managed to reach that level of big indie tune. And as good as this album is, I don't really think if they didn't achieve that with the past album, are they really going to with this album? And I think unfortunately they may not. This band is really full of potential, and I feel they haven't quite fully grasped it yet. They're extremely close to getting to their full potential, but they just haven't quite reached it. So I think stick around, listen to this band if you know them, if you don't know them, give them a try, because I reckon maybe in the next album, maybe in the album after, we're going to get one of those big indie rock anthems that everybody loves, because they are such a great band and they've got so much potential. We just need to see it come to something a bit more than a good album. So yeah, that's my thoughts and opinion on this album overall. I know this is a bit of a quick review and it's not the most in-depth review because I have been very busy these past couple of weeks. So anyway, what are your thoughts on the album? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Let me know in the comments. And as always, I hope you enjoyed watching. If you want to like and subscribe, that would be amazing. We're currently pushing towards 200 subscribers for the end of the year, so if you could help with that, it would be great. But we've got a long way to go, so I guess we'll see what happens. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.